Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. NBA Finals are finally happening, but unfortunately, the Celtics absolutely throttled the fucking Dallas Mavericks in Game 1. I don't have too many crazy opinions about the NBA Finals. I think Boston's going to win, but I do want to talk about a different team, a team that didn't make the playoffs, because I have a lot of opinions on this team and I simply just haven't voiced it. I've been covering so much Pacers shit that I haven't even bothered to talk about other teams, and I do want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks because this is a team that I think really needs to consider going in a different direction. I mean, an insanely different direction. And the reason I say that is because they got the #1 pick in the NBA draft this year. This is a team that is spending an astronomical amount of money to not even be a playoff team. They are a play-in team at best. Their record this year was 36-46. And if you look at the contracts on this team, they are simply not good. Trae Young, say what you want about Trae Young. I understand why Trae Young got the extension that he got, but the truth is you're paying $40 million a year for arguably the worst superstar player in the NBA. This is a team that has Trae Young on it. They have him locked in until the 2026-2027 NBA season. They have Clint Capella locked in to $20 million a year for the next 2 seasons. They have DeAndre Hunter locked in until 2026-2027 at $20+ million a year. We're talking about, let's see, I got to do the math on this because I can't do all this shit in my head, but let's see. Between 3 players, let's see, 178 plus 42 plus 90, you have $310 million in guaranteed money going to 3 guys that are just simply not making you any better. This is a team that they tried to trade for DeJounte Murray. It hasn't worked. And the crazy part about this whole thing is DeJounte Murray is worth basically half the amount of money almost that Trae Young is. I mean, there's a $78 million difference in guaranteed money between the two, and I actually believe DeJounte Murray's the better player. I can't believe I'm saying that, but Trae Young is getting paid an astronomical amount of money to be a guy who, yeah, he had his run against the New York Knicks, but it just, after that, hasn't been anything really worthwhile since then. And it doesn't even stop there, right? As far as $310 million in guaranteed money, you owe Bogdan Bogdanovic, or Bogdan Bogdanovic. You owe him $51 million in guaranteed money, almost $52 million in guaranteed money as well, through the 2026-2027 season with a team option in that final year for 2026-2027. So when you get done with just and Onyeka Okongwu is also locked in until 2027-2028, which Onyeka Okongwu is pretty good. His contract is fine. He's only guaranteed $70 million. But if we add another $52 million to that $310, you're talking about $362 million in guaranteed cold hard cash between 4 guys that are not able to get it done, okay? And being that this team has the #1 pick this year, I really think they should just clean house. And I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion. People are going to be like, oh, well, they only have they have the #1 pick. They could get somebody good. And I understand that, but the only really crazy bright spots I see on this team are DeJounte Murray, who's 27 already, by the way, Onyeka Okongwu, who's 23, and Jalen Johnson, who's 22. To me, everybody else on this roster is expendable. Even you could even make an argument that DeJounte Murray is expendable at 27 years old. Okay? This is a team that I feel like should be doing something like the Pacers did. Okay? taking what you got, taking Trae Young, seeing if you can trade him for some more younger guys that are maybe a bit promising. Same thing with DeJounte Murray. Trade him somewhere. Maybe trade him to, I don't know, the Lakers and see if you can get some young players from them, or trade DeJounte. Honestly, the best place to trade DeJounte Murray would probably be a team like the Brooklyn Nets. See if you can get, I don't know, a Cam Thomas out of them for DeJounte Murray, or somebody like that, considering they don't want to get rid of Mikal Bridges. But Clint Capella at $22 million a year feels fucking ridiculous. I don't know why, but it feels kind of fucking ridiculous compared to what he's actually putting down on the court. Like, Clint Capella is not worth what he's getting paid. DeAndre Hunter is getting paid $20 million a year when, if you look at the Pacers, you can look at guys like Aaron Nesmith, who is about just as good as DeAndre Hunter, who's making half of whatever DeAndre Hunter is making, and DeAndre Hunter is already 26 years old. Clint Capella's 30, Trae Young is 25. Sadiq Bey is a guy that I just simply don't see them bringing him back. I mean, yeah, maybe he has a team option for 2023, 2024. So yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent this summer. But this is a team that really, really needs to find its identity. This is a team that has done absolutely nothing since that run to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years back against the New York Knicks. And I honestly feel like this team is kind of in the same boat as the Brooklyn Nets, as a team that's all their good players are 25 years of age or older, and all their young players are under the age of 25, and you have a discrepancy where your good players are simply not on the same timeline as your younger players, and it's not helping. If you're a team that is a bona fide playoff team and you're winning games and you have a shot at the second round, okay? Then I could understand keeping guys like DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter and Clint Capella, right? If you had a legitimate shot, I could understand keeping them. But the problem is you don't. You don't have a legitimate shot. You're spending $362 million in guaranteed cold hard cash for a team that can barely, can't even make the fucking play-in. You know what I'm saying? Their record this year was, I think, 36 and 46, if I said that correctly. I mean, let's go. What was their record? Yeah, 36 and 46. And there's a lot of young guys out there that I think the Atlanta Hawks could maybe get their hands on, and it would at least provide a brighter future than what they're currently having. I mean, I think you keep Onyeka Okongwu. I think you keep Jalen Johnson. But outside of them, I think everybody else on this roster is expendable. I think DeAndre Hunter is definitely expendable. Bogdan Bogdanovic is definitely expendable. Even if you want to keep Clint Capella, Trae Young, and DeJounte Murray, I think Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter are two guys that you should absolutely get rid of. And if you can get rid of Trae Young and get somebody maybe young and promising in there, maybe, I don't know if the team could pull off a trade for a guy like Tari Eason, or, maybe target some of these younger guys in the NBA that are showing a little bit of promise that are maybe not going to get the type of burn that they should. A guy that this team should maybe target in free agency is Jalen Smith from the Indiana Pacers. They just need to get younger and put together a roster that's going to build together, because having, your one of your star players be 27 years old and there's outside of your starting five, there's nothing super crazy going on. I think this is a team that really needs to reconsider its future. Nobody wants to be a luxury tax team and just not make the fucking playoffs. You know what I'm saying? This is, I think, the second or third year in a row that they haven't made a serious, or I can't even say serious, made a convincing playoff run. You know what I'm saying? The Atlanta Hawks are not a team you play in the regular season and look at and go, yeah, they're a fucking threat. Even with the $362 million in guaranteed money they got going to 4 or 5 players. So that's what I mean when I say this. You know, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any guys immediately that this team should trade for, but you got the number 1 pick, and I would, honestly, if I'm Atlanta, I think you use that number 1 pick. I don't think you trade it. This is a team that needs to be considering a rebuild instead of trying to build on what they got, because honestly, I don't think Trae Young and DeJounte Murray is enough to even get you out of the second round, and that's just my honest opinion on it. Yeah, you have Bojan Bogdanovic, but you can find 3-point shooting in free agency that's going to be a whole hell of a lot cheaper than $51 million guaranteed for Bojan Bogdanovic. Shooting is at an abundance in the NBA at this point. Point guard play is at an abundance in the NBA at this point. What you really need is good wing defenders, which granted DeAndre Hunter is a good wing defender, so I understand that aspect of it. Yeah, maybe you keep DeAndre Hunter, you get rid of Clint Capella, you get rid of Trae Young, you get rid of DeJounte Murray and Bojan Bogdanovic, and maybe you build around Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, and DeAndre Hunter. I mean, that makes a little sense, but I think you could get a whole hell of a lot for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. I think you could trade Clint Capella for somebody younger, and I also think you could get rid of Bogdan Bogdanovic for somebody younger, but the problem is, he's making $18 million a year to be a 3-point shooter. I don't really know, teams are simply... Most teams in the NBA are not paying a whole hell of a lot for 3-point shooting at this point because so many players can do it. And unfortunately, Bogdan Bogdanovic is not only bad at defense, but he really is only great at shooting threes. So... I understand this might be an unpopular opinion, but this is a team that should just blow it up. Just like the Chicago Bulls need to blow it up, the Atlanta Hawks need to blow it up. I mean, maybe if you're Atlanta, maybe you, I don't know, swing trying to trade Trae Young for a guy like Zach LaVine. I don't know how old Zach LaVine is. But it's just the idea, I feel like even if you want to keep DeJounte Murray, you know what I'm saying? Let's see. Zach LaVine's even older. He's 29. But I mean, I don't know. It'd be you wouldn't have two guys of similar positions in your backcourt. And Zach LaVine's pretty much exclusively an isolation player. But this team really needs to reconsider its future this offseason. And I look around, it's you got Brandon Ingram out there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you take a swing at Brandon Ingram. I do know Bleacher Report put out a trade Trae Young for Brandon Ingram. The problem is I don't think that really does a whole hell of a lot for either team. Yeah, if you're the Pelicans, you get a bona fide point guard in Trae Young, but that's a whole... Trae Young is a volume shooter. He's a guy that needs shots in order for him to even be efficient. So... I don't know, the Atlanta Hawks are between a rock and a hard place at this point, and they need to do something about this salary cap. The amount of money they're paying and this luxury tax shit they're going to be paying. I think if you can get rid of anybody, I think Bogdan Bogdanovic, has to be gone. He's a guy that I just look at and I'm yo, paying him a whole hell of a lot of money to do nothing but shoot threes. He's 31. I think he's the most likely trade candidate on this team. So I got Bogdan Bogdanovic, who is a guy that I think they're going to trade this offseason. And I think Clint Capella could be on his way too. Maybe you tried to trade for Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson's another guy that at least he's young. Mitchell Robinson would fit your timeline a whole hell of a lot more than Clint Capella. Mitchell Robinson's 26, Clint Capella is 30, so not a whole hell of a lot younger, but 4 years younger is significant enough to swing a trade like that. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what Mitchell Robinson's getting paid. Okay, yeah, he's making $17 million a year for 2022, 2023. So yeah, I mean, he has a contract that actually gets cheaper as time goes on, it looks like. Hold on one second here. Current contract, NBA contract. Hold on. His current contract with the Knicks is next year he's making $14 million, so they'd probably have to include something for Mitchell Robinson. But these are the type of players I'm talking about. A Mitchell Robinson, Atari Eason. I think even Denny Avdia of the Washington Wizards. wouldn't be the end of the world. Denny Avdia's 23, and he's been pretty fucking good. He's a guy that I don't think the Wizards are going to trade him, but he's a guy that's good at defense. His three-point shot got a whole lot better this year. This is a guy that was not shooting a three very good at all. Over the past 3 seasons, he's been shooting the three at barely 32%. This year, he shot the three at 37%. He shot 50% from the field. He's been he's always been a solid defender. He's shooting the free throw better this year. So, like, guys like Denny Avdia, Mitchell Robinson, Tari Eason, maybe even try to make a run at Cam Whitmore from the Houston Rockets. Guys like that. Point guard play is out there. For example, Markelle Fultz is going to be a free agent at point guard. Like I said, I understand, none of these guys are amazing names. Obviously, the Atlanta Hawks would be doing a rebuild if they went to do this. Emmanuel Quickley is going to be a free agent. I think a restricted free agent. He's a guy you could make a run at that makes a whole hell of a lot more sense than Trae Young. It's just the idea this team, I think, needs to go in a different direction. I think this is a team that really needs to reconsider its future, especially with the amount of money you're paying some of these guys. It's going to be very hard for them to unload a guy like Trae Young, by the way. There's very few teams in the NBA that need point guard play, but Trae Young is still Trae Young. Maybe somebody would be willing to take a swing on him. I know for a fact the Lakers are. The Lakers would be willing to, and it sounds like the San Antonio Spurs might even be in there, and the Spurs would be ideal, if I'm being honest with you. The Spurs would be awesome if you could get, a couple young players away from them, maybe get Keldon Johnson. Blake Wesley is a guy that I think could, in his own situation could be very good. This is just a team that I feel like they should just sell everybody and try to find young talent and then try to build upon whatever they can find through all of these young players because, I hate to say that they need to rebuild, but they need to rebuild. There's nothing extravagant going on in Atlanta at the moment, and especially when Indiana was able to rebuild their team in a faster timetable than the Atlanta Hawks were able to put talented players around Trae Young. And with all the sneak dissing that Trae Young's been doing, it kind of on I think it was on Twitter, he's just been liking a whole bunch of tweets that are like, the Atlanta Hawks wouldn't be here if they just got Trae Young some help. So it's very obvious. I honestly think there's going to be a Trae Young trade request this offseason. It seems like Trae Young is maybe done there, and DeJounte Murray is a solid enough guard that you could get something decent for DeJounte Murray. I would argue that DeJounte Murray is probably more valuable to the Atlanta Hawks than Trae Young is at this point, simply from a monetary aspect for how good he actually is as a player. Trae Young is a decent player but is overpaid, whereas DeJounte Murray is a very skilled player and arguably underpaid. I would say that DeJounte Murray has probably one of the best value contracts in the NBA at this point. So I don't know what the Atlanta Hawks are doing. The DeJounte Murray extension was very good, but the Trae Young extension, even though, hindsight's 2020, but right now the Trae Young contract looks like shit. The DeAndre Hunter contract looks like shit. The Bogdan Bogdanovic contract looks like shit. The Clint Capella contract isn't the end of the world, but there's just a lot going wrong in Atlanta, and they don't play defense. That's another reason why I'm saying Mitchell Robinson, Tari Eason, Denny Avdia, Emmanuel Quickley is not exactly a model of defense, but this is a team that needs to get better at defense as well. I think they had one of the, if not the worst interior defense in the NBA last year. I'm gonna be honest, if you was on FanDuel this past season and Giannis was playing the fucking Atlanta Hawks, you could have took him for 35 plus every game. Indiana's not a good defensive team, but at least they got the offense to compensate for it. Atlanta sucks at offense and they suck at defense. So I don't know, man. We're working on 20 minutes here, but this is just what I think about the Atlanta Hawks. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. Helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.